And I'll also ask this morning, because poor Colleen's gotta do the minutes also today, and anyone that wants to speak will come to the table, not the podium, come to the table, because this little, whatever it is, contraption here, picks up your voice better than that. So we'll ask you to come to the table to speak, okay? Are we?
I've got the live stream going. I'm going to start the
Okay.
Zoom right now. Just a second. I have to go to start doing it, but it looks like the camera is not. Okay, so in that upper corner, the right-hand camera says view, click on view, and click speaker.
The camera's light isn't on. There's usually a little blue light and I don't see it.
So you should have a camera as well.
Yeah, we need all the help we can get. At least I do.
I didn't see the blue light, so I figured. If I could ask everyone to rise for the pledge, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good morning, everyone. I'm not prepared. Okay, we have minutes of a public hearing held on September 20th. Could I have a motion?
I'll move them.
I'll second.
Are we doing roll call?
That would be
We have the motion and we have a second.
John Pike,
Yes.
Patty Patton,
Yes.
Allison Harris,
Yes.
Sharon Champion.
Yes?
Jason Lee.
Yes. Travis? John got ahead of the game. You got ahead of the game, you signed it.
No, it's not the TV, it's somebody's phone.
We have minutes of a non-public meeting held on September 20th. Could I have a motion for that, please?
I'll move that. Second.
Sharon Champion,
Yes.
Travis Harris,
Yes.
Patty Patton,
Yes.
John Pike,
Yes.
Jason Lee.
Yes. Okay, our first new hires.
I don't see Deb.
Deb is right there. Deb, if you could.
I was told to sit in the front row so I could see, and it didn't work. So, anyways, as you know, we did have an administrative assistant, give her 2 weeks' notice a few weeks ago now. And in the process, I started high and low, and I found Becky. Becky comes from the banking industry. She's also done a little bit of dispatching for fire. So she has the experience with fire EMS knowledge, not necessarily going out to calls. Has all the experience in banking and money and all that stuff. So she started a week ago Monday. She worked side by side with Sarah. There was no way I was going to teach her what Sarah did. And so far, it's been pretty uneventful transformation. So,
Awesome. Well, welcome, Becky.
Welcome aboard.
All right.
Welcome.
And I'm sure we'll see more of you, all right? Okay, go ahead.
Also, under new hires, we have filled a clerk vacancy in the town clerk tax collector's office, and Cheryl Lewandowski is in that position. And then on Friday, one of our other clerks resigned effective immediately, so there will be another new hire in that office. And then Craig filled his 2 open positions for truck driver, laborer, and sewer technician. And we have Wayne Pierce and Jesse Rowland are now on board.
Okay.
So I'd just like to say, I mean, like I wanted to have them here today, but unfortunately we have a little stomach flu.
Well, going through the shop.
So, I told them to stay home. But I'm very pleased to say that this is the first time in, I believe, 3 years that we're going into the winter, and we're gonna be fully staffed. So, it's gonna make a huge difference. I also have a, full-time, temporary guy who's gonna start after he gets done his summer job, and he's gonna work for us for the winter. So we're gonna be all hands on deck this year, and hopefully it won't snow too much.
He doesn't take instructions very well. He didn't come up to the desk, okay? That's okay. We also have, a town clerk tax collector position, which we have, Cynthia DeRoy, after how many years? 19 years, has semi-fully retired.
That's why she's working today.
That's why she's working today. She's retired, but she's helping. Is that how we put it?
Yes.
Filling in, all right. Helping to get our new staff up to snuff, I guess, for lack of knowing what else, because we obviously are looking at 5 elections next year. So we need, by law, we need qualified, fully staffed positions filled. Would someone like, the person that has accepted, barring our motion to appoint her, is someone who some of you may know, Jennifer Cashman. She worked for, I think, the town of Belmont for, I'm gonna say 9 years maybe, don't fully quote me, and has agreed to fill that position. She will be filling it till March. In March, she will run, and that term will be a 1-year term to finish out the existing 3-year term. Then she will run again for the 3-year term. And if you can all figure that out, because I had a hard time figuring it out. So I'll be looking for a motion for that.
I'll make the motion to approve the appointment of Jennifer Cashman to serve as the town clerk tax collector, to serve out the remainder of the current term, previously elected town clerk tax collector until March 24.
Second.
Sonny Patton,
Yes.
Sharon Champion,
Yes.
John Pike,
Yes.
Travis O'Hara,
Yes.
Ruth Mooney.
Yes.
Motion passes.
And it's my understanding, I don't know, Jen is obviously gave her notice, so it will be, I'm thinking a couple more weeks before she's on board. Halloween 2023.
Yes. So Alicia reached out and spoke with Chief Lewandowski, and he set trick or treat hours for Tuesday, October 31st from 5 to 8 p.m. And then our Parks and Rec will also be hosting a trunk or treat event right here at the Belmont Mill on Saturday, October 28th from 6 to 8 p.m.
Mark your calendars. Get your costumes out. Come and join. Huh?
Trump's decorated.
Trunks decorated. There you go. Thank you, Danielle. Letters to owners on Dewtown Road. Oh, yeah.
With the recent land donation from one of the other landlocked substandard parcels on Dewtile Road, we are going to be mailing owners of other similar parcels using a template that was previously used by Gene, asking if people would like to donate those parcels to the town, and if so, we would merge them all at the same time.
Yeah. And I think we did that a few years ago, correct?
Yeah.
And I believe we received a couple from there because they're,
It was never an approved development. It was done back in the late 50s and early 60s.
yeah,
Most of these lots don't have any road frontage or any way to get to a road. They're truly landlocked, and they're only quarter-acre size at best. Some are smaller. Some guy cut out the land on, drew a map, said, this is what I want to sell you, and people actually bought it with the promise that something would happen. And they've been paying taxes on this stuff, and they can't do anything with it. So,
it's like
Give them
little
a choice.
boxes. And we have received several back,
Yeah.
through the years. People have decided to, once they realize they can't do anything with it, they've actually deeded it back to the town. So we're just gonna send out a nice friendly little letter and see if they want to deed back their little lots that they can't do anything with anyways. DRA letter.
Yes, the board got a copy of the community action report from New Hampshire DRA, confirming that KRT had 230 hearings on the new assessments between August 3rd and August 31st, and that KRT provided them with all of the required hearing sheets. So it's kind of
Just a follow-up,
confirmation.
okay? All right. Okay, Lakes Region Planning Commission letter.
Yeah, the board got a copy of a letter from the Lakes Region Planning Commission regarding regional housing needs, and it has a recap basically of information from their meetings over the last year and information about a low-income housing quota. And it's kind of just more of a report of what they discussed. There's not really any decision-making to be done.
As I recall in the past, that with the number of mobile homes we have in the community, that's considered low-income housing by the Lakes Region Planning Commission. So we would below the need of more new low-income housing. That was the last bit of information I had with them. Maybe a representative from, which represents us to the LRPC, give us an update on that.
Who is our representative? I forget. Didn't we just elect?
Rod
Rod, okay.
Have him look
So
it up.
Rod could give us, maybe the next meeting, just kind of give us a update.
Yes, so he has the full report, it's approximately 104 pages.
Right, we don't need, yeah.
It's a light read, but as he goes through, I'll have to give you a quick summary.
Sure, it would be nice, because we also have, obviously, 107, we have Concord Street.
And I believe the property on the corner of 106 and Perkins Road was just changed ownership, and that the new owner's thinking that's what that's gonna be. is
Really?
Low-income housing.
Oh,
Really?
wow, right there in that segment, I think. Oh, okay.
Oh, interesting. Huh. All right. So we've done our part, in other
Yeah,
words.
Just gotta stay involved.
Yeah.
Stay ahead.
Health Trust 2024 member rate updates.
Yeah, last week Alicia and I attended the public hearing that was held at Health Trust, and they basically described what's been happening in the health market and how they set their rates. We have tentative 2024 rates, and the final rates won't be set until next week. Medical rates are anticipated to have a 14.8% increase. Dental rates, a 4.7% increase. Short-term disability will go from 26 cents to 28 cents, and life insurance will have no change and will remain at 15 cents. And basically the increases are due to a spike in insurance claims and pharmaceutical claims. They have not had a stable level of claims since pre-COVID. So it is very difficult for them to anticipate what's going to be going on. And they have also had an increase in a small number of people that have very high dollar claims, like in the millions of dollars. And so all of those things affect the pricing, and they have to retain a certain amount of a buffer, basically, to be able to accommodate any large claims that might pop up within a year. So there's going to be a multi-year program to slowly bring their levels back up to where they need to be to provide the coverage that's needed.
So this is what we're gonna have to, well, we don't know exactly, but this is gonna be fairly close to what we have to plan on for budgeting.
Yes.
Those types of increases. 14.8% is a chunk.
What'd you say dental was?
4.7,
4.7. I put 7.4.
yeah. Then 28 cents, and 15 cents.
All right, 28.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Bogey Buster Trail Use Authorization. So this is, obviously, this is an authorization, allowing the Bogey Busters to use Belmont, town of Belmont-owned property for their trail system. And I can only assume that this is existing trails, that this is just kind of a, housekeeping thing.
It's a one-year renewal.
They didn't, yeah, they didn't check off that 1 year, so should I check off that 1 year?
I believe so.
All right, I'm gonna check off that 1 year, and then I would sign it as the
As
landowner.
long as the board agrees.
Okay, does anyone have any problems with
It's a good
eliminating
organization, it's been in town for
ever?
ever.
Yeah,
Do you need a formal motion, or you could just sign it for
The
that?
consensus is fine.
is consensus is fine?
That's fine.
Yeah. All right, then I will sign this. I'll just hold on to this right here. Other new business.
Other new business, we have a broadband internet improvement grant.
Okay.
We have Jeff McIver here from Consolidated Communications. He is here to request the board support for them to submit an application for a grant from the state to get high-speed internet to unserved parts of the town of Belmont. And he has a coworker here, Brian, who is here via Zoom.
Okay.
And he has a brief presentation that we are going to try to.
To do, we're gonna try to do, all right, okay. Good morning.
Good morning. First of all, thank you so much for allowing us to present today and for adding this to your agenda.
Mhm.
And I apologize, my back's to you all.
That's okay, you have to talk into that thing.
I believe Brian, can you hear me okay?
He's on, oh, now he can.
Like, screen sharing is disabled, but if you will enable that, I can pull up the slides that we have as well.
So you see the 3 dots in his name? Oh, there you go. Yeah, right at the bottom. Beautiful.
All right. My contact information, just before I get started, we do have it in the last page of the packet, but I also dropped off some of my cards here.
Mhm.
We know the customers in town already, so if anybody did have any issues, feel free to grab one of my cards, and I'd be happy to follow up on that. But today, what Brian and I are here to discuss is New Hampshire has announced their basically third round of grant opportunities for broadband over the last 2 years. So if you recall, last year there was a $50 million grant that was awarded to New Hampshire Electric Co-op. Earlier this year, Brian and myself, our team, we were awarded $40 million to cover towns around Carroll County, Coas County, and then a few towns in the southern part of the state. It would cover about 52,000 passings, total 37 town bills. Now this one that we're talking about today is a $25 million BMGI grant, so Broadband Matching Grant Initiative. And the difference here is, in the past, we maybe asked for but this time around, it's required that a town votes for the proposal to work with a provider, and then we have to show evidence of a vote actually occurring. So the town can only choose one provider to move forward with. Brian, if you go to maybe our third slide, I think, that talks just some bullet points on it. Oh, I'm sorry. You didn't include it. So what it is, $25 million. The due date on this is October 20th. So all of these grants are very quick. I would be talking to you sooner than this, but it takes some time for us to put together the engineering, the estimates, and we wanted to be absolutely certain that before we stood in front of you today that we were ready to partner with the town. Brian, if you don't mind going to the map, why don't we start with the map first?
Sure, do you want to look at the map on the slide, or do you want me to pull the map up separately?
Oh, I'm sorry, the map, the form of our breakdown.
Oh,
Because I think I want to talk about what the colors are first. So what we're talking about today is we broke this down to two different basically ways that we would move forward with building this network. The first portion of it is the grant funded portion. So what that would mean would be that it's a total cost of $3.1 million. The total passings for Belmont alone would cover 512 addresses. Now you see there's 1,618. That's because what we're attempting to do is build out wire centers. So wire centers don't necessarily work with town boundaries. They go over town boundaries a little. So some of your neighboring towns we're also meeting with, and it would cover some of their towns as well. The cost per passing is $1,900. Our contribution out of our own pocket is $1.2 million that we put towards this. And then that brings it down to $760 of cost per passing. And then the grant request alone is $1.9 million. Now, when we go back to the maps, you'll see that the orange lines, that's the grant portion. So that's that portion I just talked about there. Now, on top of that, we're going to cover additional rows or paths with fiber, and that would be the green section. So our contribution here is $1.5 million, and this would be 728 additional passings or addresses in Belmont.
So that's the green portion.
That's the green portion.
Okay.
And then the cost per passing, $950. And again, that portion is totally covered by us, nothing with the state grant. And again, this doesn't cost anything for the town.
So basically what you're looking for is we're just giving you permission to be able to add your wire, well, okay, layman's term, add your wire to the poles that will then provide service if the homeowner so chooses.
Yes, correct.
Right.
And we would utilize our copper line that's already on the pole. It's a technique called overlashing, so that small fiber line would lay right across it, and we would run a line right down that
As I had someone explain to me that the reason for the extension in the poles, the height, is because they're running out of space on the poles for all of these types of applications, correct?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay, well,
But it wouldn't take up any more space.
sure, you're going in the same, so you already have lines, but you're just upgrading
Yeah,
them.
so it's our copper lines, but our phone lines that are already on all the poles.
Okay,
And where you see all the marks on the maps, those are where we currently provide service.
oh, the little red dots?
Well, the red dots are actually the unserved.
Oh, okay.
And the yellow dots are the underserved.
Okay,
And let me,
all right.
I'm sorry, I should explain that a little too. So this grant opportunity that providers have to, put an application in for, the grant can only cover addresses So those are the dots on here.
Okay, which means nothing to me, but that's okay.
So our data that we use is directly from the FCC, which again was suggested by the state on how we identify addresses that are served and underserved and unserved. And those are the addresses that we can build to utilize for grant funds.
So basically what you're asking is, you're just asking us to, I mean, you're already here, so we've already given you permission to do your thing, and all you're asking is for us to vote that we are in agreement to upgrading the, I can see Travis.
Because I know where it's because of the grant is where I'm getting my
Yeah.
concern a little bit. We're applying our name to a grant, but we already we already have an agreement with, is it with Consolidated or is it with Atlantic for?
Oh, we have
for
a
like
couple,
using-
we have, oh, you mean for franchise
Yeah,
fees?
the franchise. Oh, we have three.
Yeah,
Okay.
oh yeah, we already have
I don't know
franchise
if that would
fees.
have any impact with the franchising.
No.
And we don't
It's only
offer
for
a
their
video
one.
service either. So
You're right, they don't offer video service, right, right,
That's a good question.
yeah, all right. So in other words,
And again, I think too, it's just, the state's looking at this as, they would like to see the towns and the providers working together. And this is really just a good way to show that, you know,
we're not ready to kick you out of town.
yeah,
Okay,
and we're
all right.
all in agreement to work together. Brian, who's on, leads our team for grant writing and our application work. So we have a team together that will put all of that together, and then, you know, hopefully after today, we'll be including, you know, a pass vote from you all.
Now, is this, just for my own, is this part of all of what came out of COVID with the kids being home and not having internet, or
So it definitely, like, helped to push that.
to
needle.
push that need?
You know, I think that the world was already heading in that direction as far as
This just kind of,
additional bandwidth was needed, but when all of a sudden, you know, the unfortunate cases that
Sure.
that we went through, it definitely pushed that needle.
forward. All right, all right. Any other questions? No other questions? All right.
Who's the parent company of this? Who is,
Consolidated Communications.
okay, so the name on this doesn't match with
So
Consolidated.
Fidium Fiber is our product. It's our
Okay.
residential product.
All right, okay, that's,
Sorry,
that's what
it's like the
So
Mustang.
Consolidated is who we are already
Yeah.
doing business with, and we're just extending that.
Yep, absolutely.
All right, okay. So we need a motion, is that what you're looking for?
Yeah.
Proceed with the application process to obtain the grant
Yes.
money for
Do you want to make the,
the broadband matching grant initiative.
So
Okay.
moved.
so moved. All right,
I'll second.
Okay, roll call for.
Hold on.
Travis.
Hold on.
I'm sorry, excuse me.
Oh.
I just have a quick question. There was a statement that you made saying that the grant needed to support you and your company. We have currently, Atlantic Broadband. If Atlantic Broadband wants to take advantage of the same grant that you're looking at, does that preclude them from coming in front of the board and being approved?
So
I mean, I just wanna make sure that,
that's
and it's not, we're in.
Right, and
favor of
plus
one or
it's,
the other, but we do have a service provider now.
Right, and I
that services-
believe we have Comcast now also, correct?
Yeah, Comcast is now put
Yeah.
the lines up.
Yeah,
No, and that's a great question. So again, the rules that they designed for this is for the town to move forward with one provider. So, and again, you have till October 20th, or we have until October 20th to submit our application.
I still stand with my motion though, on that.
You do?
Yeah.
You accept it?
yeah, all right.
Atlantic has had plenty of time to try and get their stuff together.
Yes, yeah,
They haven't, so.
all right, okay. Roll call.
Roll call for Travis O'Hara.
Yes.
John Pike.
Yes.
Sharon Champion.
Yes.
Sonny Patton.
Yes.
Lynn Mooney.
Yes,
Motion passes.
okay,
Thank
all
you
right.
so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank
Do we have any other new business? All right. DPW.
Yeah.
Oh,
I think this letter is already.
we can, yep, yep,
We'll have him speak to us.
yep.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So I have a simple request this morning. I'm interested in purchasing, what's called a wind turbine for the front of our Bobcat that we currently have. It's a device that goes on the front of the Bobcat, so we can go down our dirt roads and it'll blow the leaves off the road instead of having 4 or 5 guys walking down the roads with backpack blowers. The town of Sandwich actually has 2 of these, and they're using them on all their dirt roads and cleaning up ditches, drainage ditches.
So instead of sucking them up,
Yeah.
you're blowing them into the woods.
Exactly, where we can, where it's not
Right.
gonna affect anyone or.
Right, their homes or whatever.
Yeah, so currently, right now, we do have a tow-behind unit that sucks up the leaves, but it's a wearing unit, so every time, with the sand and with all the material that we're sucking besides the leaves, it wears out the impellers and stuff like that, so, for the price of this unit, I think it'll pay for itself just in maintenance on the other piece of equipment within 2 or 3 years, so.
Probably labor-wise.
Oh, yeah.
And labor-wise too.
I was
Instead
just
of
saying,
someone go dump
labor.
all the
One
time.
one guy out, I can send him out to, take care of the leaves before we send the grader out to grade the roads, and it's just gonna work. I think it's just a really efficient machine, and gonna help us out a lot.
So these funds would come from your equipment capital, I assume?
Currently I have a balance of, $64,662.12, so it will come out of that.
And the magic number, The quote.
$64.90.
$64.90?
Yeah, I think it's pretty reasonable.
All right, and just as a follow-up question, I know that we had put in grants for trucks.
Yes.
Do we know where that is at this point?
We have completed one grant, we're in
Okay.
the process of doing the second grant, so
Okay.
I'm hoping, if this all comes to fruition, that we will be getting a truck worth over $200,000 for about 50 grand.
Okay,
So
All
we're
right.
trying for another one.
yeah.
Because I just think it's, if we can.
Oh, if we can get a dump truck for 50,
It's a lot of work, and we've been really everybody thinks this grant stuff is easy, it's a ton. I mean, we've got a lot of time into it, but if we can save the taxpayers, that amount of money and upgrade our fleet,
it's a
we're
no-brainer.
all about it.
Okay.
Do you think you have any problem with property owners as far as blowing leaves from the road onto their property?
Well, it comes from their property.
Well, I understand, but they don't realize that though.
Yeah,
I mean,
we normally do it anyway, Sonny, we're just doing it by hand. So now we just gotta have a machine to take care of some of the handwork, so.
And it's more consistent if you're using a big machine than 4 people wiggling a blower around, so you got leaves flying
Oh.
everywhere.
Correct, exactly. Yeah, it'll save on manpower, it'll just save on everything.
Craig, how many miles of dirt road did you say we have?
10, but we're gonna be able to use this on, a lot of our new roads that we've reconstructed have asphalt swales that we go down, and we'll be able to, I think, in certain sections, we'll be able to use this as well without.
You could use it on parking lots also, right?
Yeah, we use it down here,
It's true.
we use it, we're gonna use it on the trails. We drive down the trails, clean off all
Oh,
the
good
trails.
idea, sure. Yeah.
The asphalt over on,
Yep.
the trail over on Route 3, we can blow all the leaves off of that, all the debris off of that.
Well, and the other thing is it's a great little device to have if you've done some brush cutting, like on the trails or stuff, then you can run down behind it and blow it off, which is much easier.
So how much money do you have in the budget, you said?
Right now, my balance for the equipment capital reserve is $64,662.12.
So you're covered enough for this $6,400 item.
Yeah.
Awesome. Do you need a motion for that, or we do? All right.
I'll make a motion to accept his
2023 Buffalo Turbine BTHY SS3. Do we have a second?
Second.
There you go.
Roll call?
Roll call 5, Sunny Patton,
yes.
John Pike,
Yes.
Travis Matera,
Yes.
Sharon Champion,
Yes.
Ruth Mooney,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay. Thank you. Any other
a reminder that hydrant flushing is next week for anybody.
And that'll be on the sign out on 106, I would assume.
It already is,
On there, I haven't been up, good.
and
All
it's
right.
posted on our website, it was also in the newsletter.
Okay, awesome. We'll move on to old business, and, that's for Leisure Lane.
So,
That's the quote.
Alicia heard back from Spears Brothers, and they are going to be doing the asbestos testing next week.
Mm-hmm.
And then the removal should be the second half of October or the beginning of November, depending on the asbestos survey.
Okay, all right. Any questions? I think that's just moving along, okay. Any other old business?
Yes.
Okay.
We have an elevator update.
Oh, the elevator.
So today will be the last meeting that we will be holding on the 4th floor for the next 5 or 6 weeks. The elevator update is starting next week. Building and Grounds has already started making efforts to be able to move downstairs. Everybody will continue to use this rear door to gain access to the first floor meeting space.
Mhm.
And then, just so that everyone is aware, the Lakes Region Public Access live stream will not be happening because we're unable to move all of the equipment downstairs for a short period of time. However, the Zoom will still continue, so meetings can still be attended live via Zoom. And then the Zoom recordings will be provided to Lakes Region Public Access, and they will post those recordings, so people will still have
Access.
all the same type of access. So, on our website, there's just a button right on the homepage for view meetings, and people can click there, and it will take them to the Lakes Region Public Access.
And this was something, obviously, we've been waiting for this. This is our first desperately needed upgrade, is to repair the, we're really replacing the guts of the elevator. It's, at an age where they can no longer get parts for it. I think we've been waiting 8 months maybe for this. That's our first upgrade. Obviously, we are attempting to, eventually move into this building from Town Hall, but we keep kind of hitting hurdles. And the hurdles is money, unfortunately, but that is, we do have the money set aside, and we are starting with the elevator. So our meetings will be downstairs next week. Is it next week? We start our budget meetings, I believe. Is it next week, Colleen?
Yes,
The
so
10th.
the
It's-
meeting on the 10th,
Is-
that's a 6.
That's a 6 o'clock, so thank you. Our first meeting for, our Board of Selectmen budget meeting will be Tuesday, October 10th, downstairs. And that's going to be, if anyone is interested, because a lot of people say, because we have our meetings in the morning, so we expect a whole meeting full of people. That's going to be the health agencies, the library trustees, the cemetery trustees, general assistants, and Heritage Commission is the first on the agenda for budgets. That starts next week.
And then the second
The
meeting
11th.
is also next week. And
Oh,
then-
that's right, we go into the following day. Can I have that paper back?
Sure you can. I don't know where yours went, but I got mine.
I can't find mine. Oh, wait, I found it. Okay, sorry. Then also next week, Wednesday at 10 o'clock, first floor downstairs, we'll be going over the town clerk, elections and registration, tax collector and finance, executive and legal is next Wednesday morning's budget. And I believe the following week we have 2 or 3 days, and the following week we have 2 or 3 days. We're trying to get through the budget. We do the budget first, then we move, and obviously, we're meeting with our department heads at this time, and then it will be moved on to the budget committee. And those meetings will start sometime in November. Those will be evening meetings. Everyone is welcome to attend. It's a good way to really understand what we're all doing, and,
There are also 2 vacancies for the budget.
we have, yes, good, I forgot about that. We've had 2 vacancies, one because, Sharon had to vacate, because she's now a selectman, and then I believe, the other gentleman is employed, oh,
He moved.
did he move? Okay.
last week.
All right, then the other person moved. So we have 2 vacancies. If anyone is interested, we could surely use some help on those committees. One other thing I just want to bring up, it's kind of not really under old business, but seeing that we have John here and we have Travis here, I kind of would like to ask, it's been brought to my attention that our, I always call it the dog track. What's the name of it? The casino, the lodge,
Oh, the lodge. Oh, yeah.
the lodge,
Okay, yep.
all right? It's my understanding, and I've heard this a couple, that they're having issues trying to get their license renewed.
Liquor license?
No, I think the gaming license, and I think that we need to get a little bit proactive, because that's daily revenues for the town of Belmont, and we do know this year our revenues are down, and so my feeling is this is huge.
There's a long story here. that
Well,
has
there
a
might-
short- Has a short sentence.
All right,
The people that previously owned it were in default. And the state's looking to collect that money from the new buyer.
oh, okay,
And I don't think they knew there was a default when the gaming, because they took their license away from them for the real gaming. And when that happened, we lost a couple $100,000 a year of income, just on the gaming side of it. That, I think, is being handled right now with our governor, is working.
well, I hope so, because, here we are dealing with less revenues out of town hall, so we've gotta make it up somewhere. Because as we all know, the state isn't being generous with helping the schools or the towns at this point, so I guess, guys, I'm gonna give that to you.
Just tax the boats.
I keep saying that, no one
I
listens
brought
to
it
me.
to the government, main attention. Everybody in the room probably has a car and registers a car, and you pay a town tax for that car. On the value that you paid for it, or an assessed value that's set by a computer somewhere for somebody to say, this Ford truck is gonna cost you $2,000, and a lot of people getting sticker shock after they buy a new truck or a new car, and they walk in to see the town clerk tax collector, and it's, wow. Well, for many years, all the gaming money and our lottery in this state was started and was proposed that was gonna offset school taxes and income to all the towns and cities. That hasn't done much. The boats, however, you can spend $400,000 on a boat and register for $80. You may not always need a $400,000 boat, but they're selling them like hotcakes. A pontoon boat today's 75, 80 grand. And then some. The more you, the bigger and faster you go, the more you want. And I asked them why we don't tax the same thing. Why don't we? But the lobbying group for the boat dealers is a pretty big group of people. But that is so, it isn't dead. Because every town, some towns, as you know, got a lot of lakefront property. Governor's Island, for instance, Guilford, that island alone would probably would bring in what we, as a town, bring in. And, you know, Molten Borough and that, we just lost firefighters. How many we lose? 3?
2 firefighters, administrative assistant.
Yeah, 3 people out of the fire department. Molten Borough went to a full-time fire department, so here's the money. Show me the money, and they went.
Issue everywhere.
All right, so you guys will,
We're working.
Yeah, I got it.
I appreciate that, only because it's huge for, obviously, our our income. Yes,
On that note, I do have inspection in today, so they are moving forward with some stuff.
are they?
So my understanding is the state's coming in and it's moving, because I
Yeah,
just
they put a whole bunch of new gaming.
Yeah, I
machines.
got an email like Monday to have one as soon as possible, and so they picked this
But, yeah.
afternoon, so
Good,
I believe the state's coming in and starting that process again.
all right. I mean, that's huge for us as a town, huge. Thank you.
It is going forward.
All right, good, if you can kind of keep us updated, only because, you know, it's been brought to my attention, and it would be, yeah, proactive.
Yeah, no, I didn't know, it was kinda, they had stopped for a while, and they just called me the other day and said,
All right. Okay, I've lost my paper. Other old business.
Other old business would be wage recommendations presented by our town administrator.
Okay. I'm going to read this memorandum. Obviously, as a lot of us know, we negotiated union contracts a year ago for 3 years. This would be fire, police, and DPW. And unfortunately, we no more get through that whole process, and all the towns around us increase all their pays. So we're losing people. We're losing people to other towns because obviously we have a certain rate. That's how we do our budgets, by what we're paying. So we have got together and we had a work session, and we've met with our department heads, and I guess the easiest thing for me to do is just read the memorandum, and it kind of just paraphrases what we went through and what we're looking at for our budget season, which starts next week, okay? This is actually, our town administrator is at a convention this week, so I'm gonna kind of read this because it's basically 2024 wage increase proposals, okay? A few weeks ago, the department heads came to the Board of Selectmen in a work session expressing their hiring and retention concerns. They're seeing employees leave to go to other towns for higher salary and or better work-life benefits, and we can't compete. We have longtime employees who we also feel are in jeopardy of leaving as well. The outcomes of these discussions led to you, the board, hearing the pleas and concerns of the departments and agreeing to do what is necessary in terms of reviewing wages. You instructed me to work with the department heads and look at the union and non-union scales and see where we need adjustments. I sat with the department heads on multiple occasions to work through the numbers. We compared Belmont to other communities and took a hard look at where we are and where we really need to be to attract new hires to fill vacancies, as well as retain the current employees that we have, all the while not sacrificing on services provided to the town. High employee turnover has significant impacts and costs in multiple areas. There is the expense of training a new employee and the reduced effectiveness and efficiency of a department during that time. This in turn also causes a heavier burden for our remaining employees to shoulder additional work and to take on training duties while trying to maintain their regular duties and stay effective. There is also the loss of years of knowledge and experience that help a department run smoothly and efficiently. There are overtime costs for remaining employees to cover shifts for vacancies, which leads to burnout and the potential to lose additional employees, particularly when there is a continual turnover. There is also considerable time and effort to create job postings, review resumes, conduct interviews, and work on all the necessary paperwork and data entry to onboard a new employee, as well as the advertising costs. Every time we lose an employee, there is an additional work to generate their payout packages, remaining insurance costs due, et cetera, et cetera. Losing employees is extremely costly in many different ways, and it is critical that we do whatever we can to retain our current employees and attract quality candidates for vacancies. And I think we've all heard this, unfortunately, time and again. We're going to talk non-union. Now, these are people that are not part of, well, they may work, but they're not the union. So these are our non-union employees. Through discussion, the best option was to drop the first 2 steps. We have a step. We're talking about dropping the first 2 steps of the scale off, build the scale out from there, and in April all employees would move up one step. This amounted to an overall 12.49% increase for all non-union employees who were already on the scale. Part-time employees are not on the scale. They're looked at on an individual basis, and they will be looked at. The move occurred equally for all across the board, so this is non-union. Now, the union police department. Through discussion, the best option again was to drop the first 2 steps of the scale off, build the scale out from there, and in April, all employees would move up 1 step. Then after we decided to make this move, communities made further adjustments to their wages, and we can concur with that. We had this discussion, obviously, it's in public, and I think it was Gilmington. Gilmington immediately posted on Facebook, increase in pay, bringing the cruiser home, whatever. Yeah, sign-on bonus, and this was just in discussion, and off it went. So this forced the department heads to make further adjustments. The chief and the captain made adjustments to the scale overall, which Alicia had provided to us. Due to the adjustments and need to place individuals on the new scale according to this current salary and to combat compression issues, not all increases are uniform, but are fair and just in comparison to others. Now that's the police department. Now we move on to the fire department. Through discussion, the best option again was to drop off the first 2 steps. So in other words, what that tells us is we're not attracting people because our starting salary was way too low. Am I not?
$6 too low.
Too low, all right. Build the scale out from there, and in April, all employees would move up 1 step. Then after we decided to make this move, communities made further adjustments to their wages, which forced the department head again to make further adjustments. The fire chief made adjustments to step 1 of the scale to be in line with surrounding communities and to be competitive with where they were with starting wages. Due to the adjustments and needs to place individuals on the new scale according to their current salary and to combat compression issues. Not all increases are uniform, but are fair and just in comparison to others. DPW, which is union. Through discussion again, we dropped the first 2 steps and build the scale out from there, and in April, all employees would move up 1 step. Then after we decided again to make this move, don't we love this, communities made further adjustments to their wages, which forced the department heads to make further adjustments. The DPW director made adjustments to step 1 of the scale to be in line with surrounding communities and to be competitive with where they were with starting wages. Due to the adjustments and need to place individuals on the new scale according to their current salary and to combat compression issues. Not all increases are uniform, but are fair and just in comparison to others. So in other words, what's going to happen is we are going to meet with the union rep, and each individual union has their own people that are part of that, and obviously bring a wage scale change. That will obviously come forth through the budget cycle this year, but we have no choice. It's either that or we're going to start losing somewhat I consider very valuable seasoned employees. And unfortunately, we've got to stay competitive with the surrounding towns. It's a no-brainer, or we lose people, which is what's happening. Everyone that works will know this, and they already know that we are discussing opening the union contracts to make these changes. Do I have any? All right. So we need to make a motion to accept.
I make your motion to accept the union and
non-union
changes, including police, fire, and DPW as presented. in the town administrator's budget.
I'll make that motion based on what you,
Right. And do I have a second?
I'll second it.
And a roll call, please.
Roll call 6, Sharon Champion,
Yes.
John Pike,
yes.
Sonny Patton,
Yes.
Travis O'Hara,
Yes.
Ruth Mooney.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Do we have any other old business at this time?
I have a question on that.
Yes.
Given the percentage increase on the non-union people, that you did not give any.
I saw that, I did see that, and I don't know why that was not,
It wasn't a set number, they had to make
Right.
adjustments individually, so
Well,
it
you could
wasn't
have given a
percentage.
range.
right. Well,
Just
the,
a 12% like you did for the non-union, you could have.
It's
given
gonna
a
be in the
range.
same ballpark.
it's going to be around 12.5%, but we could not give that because there is some individuals within that they're adjusting a little bit differently. That came from the department heads. I would say when I'm looking at it, you're talking about 12.5%. Pretty much is what that increase, but it's, could fluctuate a
Again,
little bit.
the union's gotta agree to this too, because we have a contract.
Well, what if it rated a 12% increase?
It's happened
Now,
before.
That would sound like
I
a
got
rhetorical
it.
question. However,
Okay.
a couple of these towns that we compete with, their town meeting is in the summer. Ours is in the spring, so they watch what we've set.
So change it.
Then they change theirs, and they up the ante. It's like a guy with playing poker, and you got $100, and the guy across the table's got a million. Sooner or later, you're gonna run you out of money, whether he's a good poker player or not.
And if the unions can't say that they did the bargaining for the money income, they won't accept it. Like, we had the county, we offered to give $5,000 to all the union employees, and first the union said no, because they didn't come to it for us. We offered it first. So it does happen, that's no concern. Unions can say no.
Right, and we are opening the union contract. We are making this offer, and that is it. Okay, this is our offer. They may vote, no, I mean, right, who's not gonna vote, right? But they could easily vote no, and they don't receive this.
Because they could vote no because they want more of an increase, and we could back down and say no,
They
then
don't
they get
know
nothing.
because They didn't initiate it?
Or
We're initiating it. now,
we're
'cause
initiating,
We can't hire.
we're initiating this. They could vote no, because maybe they want more. All right, but this is what we are offering. It's interesting. But it averages about 12.5 is what I'm thinking, that we are offering.
Well, that's in negotiation, so why couldn't it go up?
That's what we're offering. Go ahead, Travis.
Could we just get your name for the record? Sorry, she was trying to get her name.
Oh,
for the
yeah,
record.
your name for the record, please.
Karen Gilbert.
Thank you.
Karen Gilbert, sorry. This is what we're offering. It's all at this point, that's all I can say.
Do you have a margin that you're gonna increase by then, because you're gonna go in with one offer and that's it?
Basically.
Basically, yes.
Because the town needs to be able to afford it too. So if they want more and we can't afford it, why would we give them more?
Towns affording it, I mean, you still have four towns around that,
Name one.
the money, huh?
Name one.
Like,
Four
Pick Gilmanton. Their increase on they got an ad right now for policemen. No certificate, no nothing, just walk into, I wanna be a cop for starting pays $30 an hour. Then they're gonna educate you, you're not gonna see that guy in a cruiser by himself at night for
Right.
almost a year, right? And they're starting them at $30 an hour. Guilford up there is to $33 an hour and a bonus. It's like a bidding war, it's like going to, I'm in the automobile, but it's like going on auction, nice car comes on the block, the hands start going up. You know, and that's what it is, it's a bidding war, and these towns can't find people, so they're killing us. We don't,
We had a young man that we put through the academy. Okay, went through the police academy, came out of the police academy, how long was he?
I've got one now it's just over a year out of his 3-year. He's being shot really hard right now.
And the problem is, the state police approached this young man and offered him a sign-on bonus,
Sign-on bonus, $10,000 sign-on bonus, $7 an hour more,
more than what we were paying.
and he picked up another making about $20,000 a year right now more.
The state just gave out 10%.
They just gave out big bonuses. The state just gave out.
$20,000 to $22,000 more now on his base than he would here.
That's what we're trying, that's what we're competing with. We're trying to stay as competitive as we possibly can. But this is what, and we have to present a budget to the voters. So we only have so much money in that police budget or that fire budget for pay. We have to, yeah, so that's.
So if you send someone to the academy.
Yep.
Do they sign a contract with a?
They are.
Or they have to buy it out?
Well, they are, but even that bit gets a little dicey.
You don't always get your money right away.
And judges always don't side with towns.
That's correct.
Judges don't, you end up in
Usually
court,
never side with towns.
and the judges don't always side with the towns. You're exactly right. So you go to the police academy, you've signed a, 3-year contract with us, so when you come out, you're gonna work for us for 3 years because we've spent, we've paid you while you've been at the police academy, so there's a, we've invested in you. You signed the 3-year contract, you come out, the state police offers you a, I'm out of here, I'm gone, and you turn around and say, sorry, but I'm not paying you back what I signed the contract for. You have to go to court, and the judges don't always side with you, unfortunately, or side with the town.
So why don't you take the blindfold off the guy before he signs the paper?
Oh, believe me, believe me, girl.
What about a no-compete clause
There is.
for 5 years? They can't go then. They not only lose their money.
It's illegal for us to do no compete as a town.
Right, because what happens, because what happens if that person in 3 years, right.
Are they, well, it's not illegal in business, so.
Yeah, but it's,
Sector, that's the
But
problem.
anyway,
This is government different.
in any way, are these other towns getting grants?
No.
To do this? So then they're stopping their taxpayers.
you have to remember we're not Guilford,
I know that.
all right?
We don't have
We are,
that property.
right,
We don't
that's,
have that revenue.
right.
Totally.
We're doing the best that we can with what we have and trying to keep it as under control as we can. Your name, please, for the,
Christina Bernard, she knows.
oh, okay.
She's got that name down.
Still have to say it though.
That's all right, thank you,
Yeah.
thank you. So it is a ongoing, for our department heads, it's an ongoing battle, for lack of knowing what else to call it. We have vacancies in the fire department, 3, 4,
I have an assistant chief and 2 firefighters right now.
so we have 3 vacancies in the fire department. How many do we have in the police?
I have 2 vacancies and I have 1 out on medical for about 3 months.
Yes, John?
Dennis
Oh, Dennis, I'm sorry. I always want to call you John.
That's okay.
Okay.
He's right here. When you, for the police academy, do you put up all the money up front for them to go to school?
No, the police the state pays for the academy. We just have to pay the salary to that person we're sending to the academy, is that, and benefits.
Okay, so you just, it's a regular job, paid.
Yeah.
The state takes care of it.
Yeah. And sometimes what happens is that particular, I'll say young man, that has been young men, they'll ride, depending on when the academy starts, they might ride for a month or 2 months with and kind of get some then they go to the academy, then when they come back, at least they might not have to be,
Well, there's a 12-week FTO program.
Yeah.
And that's 12 weeks if they make it through the 12 weeks. They may need 14 weeks, we don't know. The academy right now is 16 weeks, however, there's a change coming down the pipe here to go to 18 weeks. That means that right now, if I hired an uncertified police officer, by the time I get him fully trained to be able to take the steering wheel by himself, I'm looking at 8 to 9 months of not having that employee working.
Yeah.
Now he's riding with someone else. In the meantime, while they're at the academy for 18 weeks, I have to fill that position with overtime. We are too busy a town for me to run a single car. I have to run 2 cars a shift, and just for backup purposes, because everyone around us is short. So the mutual aid that we would normally get from other towns isn't there. So I can't subject my officer to what we're dealing with now on the streets between the level of crime that we have in this area, to be by himself. So we have to have that backup there. Right now, I have a captain and lieutenant covering shifts because I'm shorthanded. I can't even get the phone to ring. Nobody is calling here, $6 an hour under surrounding towns who come to work here. We have one of the highest, besides Laconia right now, we have the highest call volume in the county. So you're gonna work when you come. We average anywhere between 25 to 38 calls a day in this town. In the fire department, if you haven't noticed, their lights run all the time as well. We are a busy community.
That's what happens when you end up being that cross-town, 106, Route 3, 140. We're just we're a pass-through town. And believe me, all the secondary roads are becoming pass-through roads because people don't want to go through the main street or whatever. They are finding alternate routes. It's brutal.
It's getting very difficult to police this town with the lack of personnel and the inability to attract anyone. I've been trying to attract certified people because that gives me the ability within 6 weeks of FTO for the town to put them right on the road. Because they already come with a certificate, they come with experience. I can't hire them.
Can you, have you ever thought about hiring retired policemen?
Well, there's
part-time?
There's an issue there now with the state and the retirement system. Retirees, if you were to retire from full-time service and then come back part-time, it's a 28-day layover right now before you can come back. And there's only a minimum amount of hours you can work per year.
But would that help you if you could do that?
Any type of help would help.
I mean, have you looked into that at all, or?
I have 3 part-timers now,
Okay.
but getting them to work is another story because they all have full-time jobs somewhere else. Private jobs. And like I said, usually when they leave this job, they don't come back.
They're fried.
They're done.
Yeah.
They're done.
Okay.
Travis, sorry.
You can correct me if I'm wrong, but don't the officers have to be employed at a police department to go to the academy?
Yes.
So it's not like they can go to the academy and come to us after?
Some states allow that. Some states you can actually apply to an academy, like a college, pay your way, come out with a certificate, and then you can go anywhere you want. You have to be signed on to an agency here before you go to the academy.
But you could go out of state and find people if they're available that have gone through their academy.
You have to go through our.
But then they have to go through a law package and everything else here, or if the academy determines that they've been out long enough, they may require them to go back to the 16-week academy.
Yeah, because each state sets their own requirements for the academy.
Right.
I was just looking at ways to find people.
Yes, sir. Your name, please.
Gerald Carboni, 60 Tucker Shore Road. Belmont.
Thank you.
Do you consider using volunteer?
We can.
You can't?
Liability.
In Florida?
You have to be certified, you have to be qualified for liability purposes.
Well, in Florida,
volunteers.
they use volunteers, but they don't have full police powers. They're just more or less like a, like a neighborhood watch.
Right.
They
We
give them a police
can't do
card.
that here.
You can't do it.
You need police powers in this town.
I think I'd be afraid of doing that because,
Yeah.
good God, somebody pull out a gun.
The liability the town could face on that is astronomical.
Astronomical money, yeah. We have neighborhood watch areas where neighbors will kind of semi-police their own area by viewing and then calling for us. But that's about the extent of it for any type of volunteerism. And I wouldn't encourage anyone to volunteer to do
It works
and
well over in Florida.
intervene like we have to.
It does work well in Florida, and I'm a member of the patrol for the Charlotte County Sheriff's Department.
Well, sir, I'll be perfectly honest with you. I've actually ridden with our police chief in the past, and, you know, I kind of think I'm a little brassy, all right? But I'll be perfectly honest with you. When we do roads and we have discussions about certain properties on certain roads and stuff, yeah, you won't catch me doing that. I would not feel comfortable. Granted, if you see something, you call the police department, but you do not engage. You do not engage.
Absolutely not.
Not engage at all. Call the police department, get the plate number, whatever, but do not engage. No.
You don't engage either.
No.
You just call it in.
You just call it in.
Yeah, it's like our community watch,
Yeah.
more or less.
It's our neighborhood watch.
Yeah, neighborhood watch, thank you.
Exactly
That's what's
what it
called.
is. It's a call in.
Yeah.
If they see it, they call us.
Yeah.
Some of the small, like Mallard's Landing and stuff like that, they'll have a little patrol that goes out and looks around, but they'll call us immediately. They will not engage, and they shouldn't, under any circumstance.
Okay. Do we have any other old business? All right. Now, we know that some of you are here. We will open our meeting for public comment. I know that there's some people here that would like to speak. I will ask that you come to the table and state your name for the record. And I guess my only question will be a show of hands for non-resident people. So everyone here is a resident of the town of Belmont. Awesome. All right. Who would like to come forward? Yes, dear.
Linda Normandy, resident, 61 Sucker Shore Road. I'd like to first thank you for your patience here, listening to us regarding the tax assessment evaluation recently done. I didn't know Colleen would be here, but I wanted to thank her and make a point of indicating to you, you probably already know this, you're a quality employee in Colleen.
Yes.
She's been very helpful, efficient, and friendly face when you go in and need help with things. So thank you, Colleen. I noticed on your website, looking up when your meeting was, that your mission is the legal and prudent administration of the affairs of the town of Belmont. The first point I'd like to make is that the change in the assessment values of approximately 217 waterfront properties were based on only 3 comparable sales. Is that prudent? Does the regulations allow for such a small sampling of comparable sales to evaluate and set assessments at? Second point is, overall, as you're well aware, the market changes from 2022 to 2023 for the town was 19.2%. Percentage change to waterfront properties was 33.3%. Is this prudent to ask these properties to shoulder an unreasonable, disproportionate increase? Now, I understand you have to set the tax rate, but the assessed values for the single-family waterfront properties is 3.5 times the increase for just the plain single-family non-waterfront properties. If you do the math, 3.5 times, we're going to see the taxes go up on those properties, no matter what you set for a tax rate. Is that prudent? Is that prudent? Is that helpful to the residents that are retired, living on the lake, that worked all their life to save money and be able to enjoy their retirement on the water? I don't think so. Then you have a whole group of families that property was passed down over the years. There's one family that's been on the lake over 80 years. They're looking at 3rd and 4th generation. Are they going to be able to? I mean, they're struggling to see how they're going to retain that property that's been in their family forever. And seasonal owners, whether they're a second home locally or from out of state, who don't use the services of the town. And in many cases can only use their property 5 or 6 months out of the year. Is that prudent to have them see their taxes go up 3.5 times that of a single family, non-waterfront property? I hope, and I'm curious of whether you've discussed the unintentional consequences of seeing the assessments go up so dramatically. And is there a plan for any sort of strategic planning at your level to look long-term at this situation? There are towns that put a cap on the increase. I'm told, I haven't been able to confirm it yet, that as residents we voted that you are going to reassess every year. I don't know that these kind of increases are sustainable for anyone, whether they're on the waterfront or not. So, appreciate your listening, and I hope you give some consideration to what you can do as the oversight of the town's business. Thank you.
So unfortunately, a lot of this is all based on state law. Assessments are required by the state of New Hampshire to be based on fair market value. They have to be compared to sales. If there's only one sale or if there's 100 sales, those are the only sales data that they have to be able to use.
They can't look back? They can't look at other towns? I thought the regulations
They
said
go by like distance of that area. So it's like value of that area. Of like, for example, Tucker Shore. There's a value to Tucker Shore of houses being sold on Tucker Shore. So there's a value to being on the shore. So those house values that are being sold impact your house, even though you're not planning on selling it probably, it still impacts the value of your assessment. So that's what's being taxed. It's just because people are willing to pay that lots of money, $80,000, $100,000 for a home right now.
Yeah, but you're saying one sale or 3 sales is a good market?
It's not good, but that's what's on that road that's sold in the past 3 years.
That's what the state law says needs to be used. In order to have any type of change for how assessments are done,
State
that
law.
is a state level function.
Well, is it true that the town voted, the residents voted to have reassessments every year?
There was a,
Or is that not true?
we were only at, the town was only at 61%, 67%. That was, I'm gonna say 2021, 2021.
67.8% in 2021.
And by law, again, by law, the towns have to be at 100.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. We were,
What RSA is?
I can provide you with the IRS
Yep.
information on that.
and so what happened, because we were not in a, we have to reassess every 5 years, no matter what, okay? So we actually, there was a article put in to do, I can't tell you what the wording was. It was kind of, was it spot?
It's a sales
Update for the next 3 years, and there was some monies put with that, okay? So that for the next 3 years, when the sale took place, the assessment
Yeah, every year.
every year.
We would do sales updates.
This is the 3rd year?
No, this is the
Second year, sorry, I get my dates. The full assessment will take place again in 2024. That is that 5-year mark. Then it will be, do you want it looked at again?
Who do you?
You would put an article to vote on the ballot if you wanted to keep spot checking on a yearly basis. The scary part with that, and again, we don't know what's gonna happen with the economy. Nobody does. Right now, we know sales are crazy. I mean, I can't believe what some of the houses are selling for now, okay? But what happens is, if that falls, and I gotta make sure I explain this right, if that falls, and say you wanted to sell your home, and someone comes in and they have to go to the bank to get a loan to purchase your home, and the bank is saying, well, that's way overassessed, we're not gonna give you the funds to be able to purchase that home. See what I'm saying? That up and down, so that if we don't, if the voters decide in 24 that they don't wanna continue looking at that, you could get caught if you're a person in the back of your mind that's thinking, I might sell my home in the next 3 years. You
What
could get.
about the person that doesn't wanna sell?
Totally agree, I'm one of those people. I was shocked.
So you're saying if the market goes down, there's a plan and process that our assessments will go down?
Only if it's on the ballot.
That's what I was gonna say. We can't do anything financially without approval by the town. So when it comes to spending and revenues, we can't change our assessment dates besides every 5 years unless it's approved by the town. So that's how this was approved by the town to do this for the 3 years.
Voted in by the people in town.
So if we wanna do it again, the people of Belmont have to put another warrant article in, or we have to put it through as a request on the ballot, correct?
So the residents voted to
Right.
have it looked at every year.
For 3 years.
For 3 years.
Up
Looked at
until-
for what?
For 3 years.
So why has it been happening every year?
Every year for 3 years.
Every year for 3 years.
Every year?
For 3
Yes.
years.
It's based on the sales that are sold in that neighborhood. And that was voted on by the people of Belmont.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I think the real number's around 4,600 people, voters we probably have in the town, and what would you think our average yearly voting count is at the end of voting day? Would 800 be enough?
It's not even.
800 people? No? Everybody wants to go to heaven, nobody wants to die.
Yes, sir. Just state your name, please.
Dave Levine, you keep talking about this vote that the townspeople did to have our assessments done every year.
For 3 years.
When was this?
3 years. In 2021, I'm gonna say it was on the ballot.
Is there an article number that this was related to? Because I've
We
gone
can
back to 15 and I
Yeah,
haven't.
we can give you that article number.
Sharon showed me the other day.
So the first year that it was on the ballot was the 2022 ballot.
22.
For last year, for the appropriation of the $70,000 to pay for it. I don't remember what article that was, I didn't go back and look for it. In March this year, there was another one for $70,000 to pay for this assessment. That was article number 29. So if you go back onto the town's website or pull up the town report, you can pull up the ballot, the numbers, and it will tell you right on the website how many people voted yes and how many people voted no. And Alicia and Colleen they created a really great voter's guide that would tell the people what it is, what the impact would be, what the tax rate impact would be, if anything, on there, to explain to people what these were.
I just keep on hearing this talk that we voted on it. I voted in 2021. I don't remember that being on the ballot, but.
I don't know which one it is in 2021, I can look it up, but in 2022, it was article number 29.
But I believe that may also be for the.
Yeah, it is.
The reason that may not, there was a specific ballot item relative to.
Although I don't think it is in there.
Me too. For the reassessment. I think it's gonna be in the 21 book, not the 2022 book.
Oh, I just wanna see the last year's, how it's worded.
And as far as the voter's guide, I mean, we made it available online, at town hall, it was here. Yeah, yeah. I mean, we tried really hard to,
I overlooked because it wasn't on the report, so yeah, I guess at the time. I just got one more thing.
Yeah.
Who's watching the sales data and what realtors are actually putting out there on the market?
What do you mean?
I guess what I'm trying to say is anybody watching the realtors, because they're the ones that set the market for what a house is gonna sell for?
no,
Come
come up here,
so
come up
these
here.
guys on the screen, can you- please. They can hear.
I apologize.
That's all
I
right.
didn't think it was gonna be this long.
No, that's all right.
So what I guess I'm asking is, realtors go in and inform these homeowners that their properties are worth X amount of dollars. Okay, which is, in my eyes, in a lot of places, extremely out of the real value of that house. Just for an example, my neighbor bought their property, very cheap money, and they were just told that it's worth a couple $100,000 by this realtor. And to be all honest with you, there's no way possible that nobody's gonna ever pay them for that.
But guess
These-
what?
These realtors.
There could be 2 or 3 people that end up in front of that house next week, and they'll have a bidding war and pay even more.
Are setting what our properties are being sold for, so and I guess what I'm trying to ask is there any oversight as to what the realtors have to follow?
No.
Because it's not the realtor, it's the owner. If the
I
owner-
listen-
the
I
owner's
have a-
getting sold a bill of goods by the realtor, that may be so. But I live on Dutile Road. At the end of my road, there's a new housing development, just before you get to Union Road. The first house sold for $800,000.
And I
On
listed,
Dutile Road. I mean, we're not talking about water there, baby.
I listed a piece of land.
And there's 3 more lots all being built, all sold.
and I have a piece of land for sale, and I list what I wanna sell it for.
Me and a lot of people that I have spoken with, they all seem to think that it's the realtors that are setting the market
No.
on our assessed values on
And
our
They
houses.
have an influence. I will say they definitely have an influence, but they don't set it. It's the market that the buyer, the buyers, exactly. The buyers are going in and willing to pay that money. It's insane that they're willing to pay that money. I don't even live in a house yet in the town.
I mentioned
I live in an
lo-
apartment. I want to buy a house.
I mentioned mobile homes when we talked about the average income for elderly people and that. Mobile homes on 140 in a park, $147,000 for single wide, just sold, closed.
It's insane.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And we just, and I'm not sure where this was, but it was my understanding that a condo just sold over your way for over $3 million.
Yes, the big one. What's on waterfront, yeah.
Where is it?
It was Sunset Drive.
Sunset Drive for $3 million. So again, if you own property on the water, that's a comp.
But is it fair for, if that's the only house sold next year, is that fair market?
Well, you know, it's
To say
interesting that you asked that, because
One
I
sale.
remember a couple of years ago, my daughter wanted to refinance, and basically, they could not, the bank could not find a property in the town of Belmont that they could use as a comp for her property. She couldn't refinance because there wasn't a
I'm not talking
comp.
about refinancing.
But
I'm
that
talking about
that is
tax
still,
assessments.
but that's still, they're assessing it.
One sale, and in our case, 3 sales, that's not fair to.
No.
But they would,
That's the whole-
but they would use that one house. If
Let's
another
talk
house
about
on
the
Sunset
basements.
sold that had the same amount of bedrooms and same amount of bathrooms, yes, they would compare it to only that one house. They would, because that's the only thing they had. If it's waterfront with the same bedrooms,
They don't never use the one house, they go outside the main.
Hold on.
I'm saying they would use it.
No,
Every 5 years, that'd be true. In running the town, the peaks and valleys, the one issue here, the town is only about 30%, 35% of your tax bill comes to the actual town, the rest goes to the school. But every 5 years, the commitment from the state is when it has to be done, and then it's every piece of property that come in, and that costs us $500,000 every 5 years to have that assessment done.
and we have to have it done.
And that's the law, we don't have
They
any
would
choice.
look back 5 years to see the sales during that 5-year
But
period.
I don't think they can.
No, they come with their own comps.
It's a 1-year look back period, and that is through the New Hampshire Department of Revenue Administration. And our assessing company can only perform assessments based on the state law, and that is overseen by the New Hampshire Department of Revenue. And New Hampshire Department of Revenue actually comes out in the field to the town to review and look at assessments that KRT has been completing.
They were here yesterday?
Yep.
Oh, no, that was different. That wasn't for
Yes, sir.
Excuse me, but I also understand from Linda, who's doing some extensive work, that in some areas they're being taxed at a different rate, and they're both on the lake, and they're both in Belmont, and yet one person's getting this, a tax increase of a certain percentage, and another isn't. It's not a fair assessment. To me, if you wanna assess properly, you charge so much a foot for how much lakefront you have. I don't care where the lakefront is, I don't care if it's, if here or there, as long as it's on Lake Winnisquam, and it's in Belmont, the rate should be the same, they should charge by the foot. And the other point I wanna make, to take, one single or two single properties that sold for millions, and use that is ridiculous, because what's happening today, and I've got a good friend that's a realtor, and he told me, most properties he's selling today are selling above the value.
Yeah.
So if he puts it on the market, he sold one property, and they paid $400,000 over what he asked for the property.
It's happening everywhere.
But that becomes the value of the market after a while. That becomes the value of the market
Yeah, but people
if that
are
continues to
coming out from
happen.
New York and from other states that have a lot of money.
Basically, you know, we're sitting here, we're your board, okay? But we are told, okay, from the state, how we can do this. I mean, not that we're doing it, it's all state RSAs. My 2 cents worth is, not that, we understand, we live in this town, we're paying taxes in this town also, okay? I don't happen to be on the lake, but I'm still paying a lot of taxes. And the best thing that we can do, you need to start calling your legislators, your senators. I know, but we voted them in to do a job, all right? No different than we as a board are voted in, but again, we have parameters, and the only thing we can do is we can make our phone calls, okay? I don't know, we're all governed by RSAs, and we're in the same boat.
But the taxpayers are looking at that you're expecting the lakefront people to pay outrageous prices, which in a lot of cases, and I think Linda made a good point, that have had properties in their family for years, now they can't afford them anymore. That doesn't seem fair to me.
It isn't, but I can't control that. We as a board can't control that. That comes from the state. I mean, the state oversees our assessing company.
And the
And
equalization
yeah.
ratio, they calculate the tax rate. And
I'm with you. I totally agree, but our hands are tied, all right?
Paying view tax too. Don't forget that. Everybody has something they're paying for.
That's
Whether it's the
ridiculous.
waterfront or it's the.
My mom has a view tax in Guilford because of Gunstock. She has a view tax of the mountain.
Yeah.
Doesn't mean that it's fair.
Well, but that's, we can't control that. All right, I understand your frustration, but we can only do so much.
Yeah, but it doesn't seem fair that some properties are being taxed at a higher rate than others, and they're both on the lake, and they're both on the same
The tax
lake.
rate is the same.
Yeah, the tax rate.
assessment process is different and may be weighted for different types of
Properties.
scenarios and situations. You know, whether you're next to a mountain, or you've got, you know, a view of the lake, or whatever it might be.
But I'm talking about
The proper way to ask for, is to ask for an abatement. So the process, if you feel that your assessment is unfair, the state provides through law to file for an abatement after you receive your fall tax bill. You have until March 1st to submit that abatement application to the town with all of your documentation, and all of the things that they require on their form. That is then reviewed. If you are not happy with the results of your abatement request, the next step is to go to the state. The state hears all kinds of cases like this at the Board of Tax and Land Appeals. It's a $65 fee to the state in order for them to review your abatement if you don't feel that you received what you should have gotten during your abatement request.
So the first step of that is to go to the town. Now, who at the town looks at that?
So those go to KRT, they go to the assessing company. Whoever the assessor is receives those, and that is through the state law. That's how they're reviewed.
Do you review it here? Would they come to this?
No, we don't.
No,
No.
because we don't have the assessing experience.
Let me rephrase that. They they make a recommendation, do you have to approve, the selectmen have to approve it?
Yes, the selectmen
So,
approve
the
all of
first
the
step
abatements.
is the selectmen approving what the appraisal company suggests, whether it receives an abatement or not.
Right.
So the next question is, what percentage of assessments get reappraised and changed from KIT? Pardon?
Oh, absolutely not. There's been a lot of adjustments when it comes to that.
I've been through that
Right.
process.
It may not always be the adjustment that's requested. Someone may, state that they think that their value is, such and such a value. And then KRT looks at it and they determine that, well, it may still need some adjustment, but it may not be the full amount of the adjustment of what you're looking for. And they give, their information for why they have completed that change the way that they did, looking at other comparables, etc. And then when you receive that letter, the recommendation is if you're not satisfied, then
You go to the
file
state.
with the state. The state has the ultimate authority over the assessment.
Right.
Not to describe me. What he was saying is very correct. I've gone through all these assessments along the water. I've done spreadsheets and everything, trying to figure out what the criteria they use for assessing the waterfront property. And there is no criteria at all for assessing waterfront property. They just randomly figure out some number, and I can give you an example, is Sunset Drive, the house that the guy's been building all these condos down there. I looked at those properties, and the waterfront assessment, the land assessment, is at like $700,000, and it's a condo association. And then some of the others are way under, or there's no criteria. If you're gonna, what's that?
That property is an outlier. Just one of the.
Your name, sir.
John Guy. I think the fundamental issue is if you outlier properties are setting the value for camps and other less run down, and we have no way of adjusting for that.
Yes, you do.
If you've got 100 feet of waterfront property, and you've got a 50-foot waterfront property, well, there's value there. And you have to have, that's a criteria somewhere. If you've got swamp there, that's another criteria that would be a negative drain on the property value. But, when I look at the assessment rates of all these properties, and you can go in there, it shows the building structure, what it's worth, and then the property, what it's worth. And they make no sense to me. And I run spreadsheets and can't figure this thing out. And then, for me, my house is a cottage that's been added 4 or 5 times. I grant you, I got a beautiful piece of property, but the house is a piece of crap, okay? And I watched that my tax rate on that house is more than somebody that's got a brand new house with more bedrooms. So you tell me the criteria they use is worthless.
Well, I guess and
think the thing
again,
they do is-
it's the state.
But-
The state
But this
oversees.
is the company you've hired, and I think you're a bunch of clowns that they don't know what the hell they're
By the
doing.
way, there's only 3 companies in New England doing this now.
Well, then find somebody else, because I'll tell you what,
so,
when they
I got
assess a
3 choices.
4-bedroom house that has 2 bathrooms, 4 bedrooms, far better than mine that has 1 bathroom, 2 bedrooms, and I'm assessing the
My
same
suggestion
amount.
is this.
Quiet,
I
please.
hear what you're saying, I'm not disagreeing with you.
Okay.
However, either we get a meeting with people from KRT to come here,
We already did, no one showed up.
and the people didn't show up.
ART did not show?
KRT came.
No.
And it
No
was
one
on the
said to come
website.
out. No one, ever. We might get a complaint once in a while, and typically they end up in Colleen's office. They don't show up here, and you get a group of people here. We're not saying we don't wanna help you, I'm not a tax evaluation person, I can't tell you. The bill comes, I pay it. So, and I don't live on the lake. But what I've also understand I was on a boat, with my daughter's boat this Sunday, and it's really developed in the last 20 years, and the prices in the last 3 years have gone absolutely ridiculous for what the stuff's selling for. I never knew that monster was there in the bay just down from Winterside. It was unbelievable. And, I don't disagree with you, but I'm not a tax assessment guy. So if we get somebody up here, and if somebody wants to sign a sheet before we leave, and we'll make sure you know about it, and we'll get them up here, and you talk to them and tell them, and Mr. Grimes, and this lady right here, show them on black and white, say, how can this be?
I'll run a spreadsheet and show every lakefront property, and I'll do an analysis on every one of them with a
Get
spreadsheet.
KIT here, get a rep from KIT here to a meeting.
Yeah, because we set the rate, which is per 1,000. They set the
I
assessment.
understand that, but you know, you gotta have a criteria, just like when a realtor goes in and looks at a house. There's a criteria what they're gonna set.
I want to correct your statement, we do not set the tax rate.
No.
State does.
State technically takes
Department
our
of
budget
Revenue
and then
sets
sets
the
the rate
tax
per
rate.
1,000. Yes, correct.
They
And
set
it's-
the tax rate for
They
each
do,
town?
and
For
it's
the
a
1,000.
state, for.
We set the
for-
budget, they set the rate.
And obviously, it's the state of New Hampshire that oversees KRT, all right? They're the ones that I would say audit, for lack of knowing, there's probably a different word for it. But they're the ones that audit KRT, not us. We're not assessors.
Well, I think,
And KRT is governed by the RSAs in the state of New Hampshire. I mean, you know, I understand. I mean, we're all dealing with that. Yeah,
I have one comment.
okay.
It's a factor that hasn't been identified.
What's that?
And that's the person that's willing to come from out of state, open up their billfold, and the homeowner certainly would want them to close it when they're gonna be giving them so much money over what their asking price is in outbidding the local
Yeah.
people.
It's happened a lot.
But we can't interfere with
But
that.
we can't control
interfere with that.
that.
That's the market.
As far as getting a meeting, you have a sign on 106. Why don't you put a notice on that sign?
We do.
I believe we did the last time.
I tried by that and I never read it.
Yep. Well, we had them here, I don't know how many weeks ago. It was back, not too long ago. They were here one day. And I don't think anyone even showed up. It was us. So it is. And then obviously now the assessments letters come out and people are here. But it's, yeah.
I only heard about this from the, community, Facebook page.
Facebook page.
I just happened upon it.
Yeah.
And it was in the paper.
Yes, it was. And
How many people get,
I'm one you think.
I read on my phone still.
Yes, dear.
Okay, part of the problem is the open wallets from out of state, absolutely. But in part of what I think is going on in their heads is the apples to apples versus apples to oranges. Right now, we got apples to oranges. That's what they're trying to say, instead of apples to apples. The camp versus the fancy house. The mobile home that is 35 years old versus the one that's 5, but they're the equivalent because they're on the same.
Because they're all selling. That's right.
They need to come and they need to physically view no more of the sales database solely.
But that's not us that can change that. And
That's
actually,
That's the state.
that's the state. That's not even KRT can do that.
That's the state.
It is the state.
It's not there on the
It's,
state's ass.
yeah, it is.
It is.
It really is. It all boils down to the fact that it's back to DRA. Department of Revenue Administration. They're the ones that govern this. You know. Understand? Yes, dear.
Yeah, just a quick question. I think the thing we have to do is, like John said, we gotta go back to the adjustment, the people who did the assessment. Because just to ask Colleen, I'm gonna give you some examples on around the lake off Takashua Road. That's all swampland and it's all canal. Are they getting charged for waterfront?
Oh, sure. Probably.
You can't even swim in it. You can't even take a boat, I mean, you can't even, swim in it, you can't even water ski on it.
Tell them it was swampland.
That's it, because when they look at it, they see a map and they see water. They don't see wetlands.
You know, the other thing that's happening, unfortunately, or fortunately, I shouldn't say that, being a longtime resident of Belmont, you know, we've actually, in the last few years, we get the phone call from someone that lives on a rural road, wanting to know when we're gonna put streetlights up. Okay? You know, you have to understand that there is definitely a, yeah, there's definitely some changes that some of us, me being a typical old Yankee, don't like to see. No different than when Craig, oh, I wanna pave this road, or I wanna pave that road. I don't really want them paved. I want them to stay rough and bumpy because it keeps the traffic, well, somewhat down, okay? But people want those nice paved roads. They don't want the bumpy roads. Now they want street lighting. Now they want, these people that came from out of state that had all these services, they moved to New Hampshire because it was cheaper, okay? But they want all those services now at a cheaper rate. Somebody's got to pay for that. Unfortunately, I'll say the bad thing.
And the more
We have no sales tax. We have no income tax. I'm not a big income tax person, but we have no sales tax. And guess what? You and I have got to pay for all the same stuff through our property taxes. Live free or die. We're all going to die in this state paying the property taxes because we can't get it from any other source. We're all paying for it. I mean, it's sad. Yes, sir.
You got the die down pat. It's a little free.
Oh, and yeah, you're right. It's.
We're not talking about raising taxes if it's acceptable. We're talking about the unacceptable way it's being evaluated.
Right.
It's not
it's
not done at a rate that a reasonable person could look at.
That's state. I mean, that's not us.
I don't believe it.
But the state oversees the assessment.
But the assessment has gotta be done right before we go to the state, and we gotta talk to the assessment people again.
So
because you know,
basically, when you get your fall tax bill, you as a group, every one of you need to file an abatement.
we've already got a petition signed with over 200 people. that signed it.
But you need to do your abatements, all right? You bring that signed to the state, okay? Nice to hear from you.
And I think you're gonna find that every town around us, even the ones that are very wealthy, are gonna agree with you.
Oh, yeah.
That are on the water. You know what I'm saying? I don't disagree with you, but it's gone so far out of whack.
Yeah, I've lived in this town for 53 years, and the old thing was, I mean, this is kind of comical, but I've heard it many, many times. The local town people that don't live on the lake, so don't worry about it. The lake people will take care of us.
Yeah.
Well, I beg to
How
differ.
many times I've heard that?
I beg to differ. My assessment was at $450,000.
Yeah, mine
And I
too.
used comps against other properties in town.
And it wasn't right.
And
was
guess
it?
what?
Yeah.
We got nothing.
Yeah.
We went through the assessment, I talked to them, and I'm pretty educated when it comes to breaking down comps and
Yeah.
figuring out. And what we were told, which all of you are hearing, is the influx of people coming into this area don't care. If they have the money, they sell their homes for $1.5 million
They come up here
somewhere
someday.
else, they're coming up here, they're buying that cottage that you had in your family for 5 generations for $1 million that isn't
But see,
worth
that's the point. I didn't
70,
buy
but we're not stopping that, Ted.
No, okay.
The state of New Hampshire is who is going to regulate that. And that's the frustrating part. The board, all 5 of these individuals, are just pincushions. That's all they are.
I agree.
Legally, they have to hire an assessment company. It's not even like you can go out and get a field of assessment companies. You get 3 to pick from and start analyzing. You start looking at how many complained about this one, how many complained about that one. Your pickings are so slim, it's
And I believe this is the second assessment company, at least since I've been on the board. We had somebody else, I don't remember who it was. This is the second one,
They went
because
out of
nobody
business.
liked
They
it.
went out of business.
They went out of business, okay.
I'd like to, again, ask Colleen again, it's the streets on Nancy Drive, Linda Drive, and around the pond, is that lakefront?
I have no idea.
They got a set of lakefront. Well, I mean, waterfront, yeah,
I would have to pull up and look.
well, it is all
those cards
waterfront.
to
And
find
I'll give you
out.
a prime example, a friend of mine, Bob Wallach, lives on a canal. And he can't swim in that place. It's a swamp. I mean, it's polluted water.
If there's an issue, the proper process to follow is to go through the abatement.
The thing, the
You have to
assessments,
start with the
I agree.
abatement because that's what
The
the state
assessments
law
are not
says.
properly managed. The septic company, we need to talk to them, because they're the one that put this mess on you people.
But then it's the state that looks at what they did, and it doesn't necessarily mean the state's gonna,
Well, I think
you know, I mean,
what the assessments look like.
you gotta.
I agree with Ted. It's not the state, it's the people in the assessment company that are not doing a good job, and you are hiring them. So if you're getting a lot of complaints from people who you represent, because we're the taxpayers, and they're not doing a good job, it behooves you to go to them and say, look, we get inundated with complaints of inconsistencies. And that's not what we want you to do. We want you to be consistent. If you got 100 feet of lakefront, boom, 50 feet of lakefront, whatever.
But sir, we can say, we can say whatever we want, but it's the Department of Revenue that oversees KRT. You and I are paying the bill, but they're overseeing KRT.
Hired the assessment company. The state didn't.
Nope. But we had to only hire the ones that were approved by the state.
You hired them, and if they're not doing a good job, then it behooves you to take a look at it and say to these people, listen, you're not doing the job. We're getting a lot of complaints from people.
Yep.
I'm not complaining about my tax bill. Believe me, I'm not. I'm very willing to pay for it. But all my neighbors are furious because of inconsistencies. That's the point we're trying to make.
Yep.
I keep saying go back to the state. The state can't handle inconsistencies. You can handle it through the company that you hired. Get rid of them and get another company.
It would be, the state does handle the inconsistencies.
Group of people from a similar neighborhood or with similar types of properties that all filed abatements, they are all reviewed at the same time, so that if there is some sort of
inconsistency,
such as an inconsistency, they can address it with all of those properties at the same time. So that's why they hold all of the abatements and they review and look at them all at the same time to be able to determine if there's something that needs to be changed in a specific area.
Yeah, but if you see a lot of assessments that people are complaining about, what's the common denominator? The people that are doing the assessment aren't doing their job.
All of the assessments are based on sales data.
Well, I did call in, I just want to make the point that I did call in during that period of time, had a phone interview, but I was told they could not discuss land values. So the only thing they can discuss with me is my building.
right, it must.
It's the land values that are the big issue.
See, no, that's,
And I was told by the individual, I can't talk to you about the land value.
so I own property in Belmont. I have a house, it's not on waterfront, but it's across the street from the lake. And in February, if I look hard enough, I can see the water from my front porch over the bathhouse of the campground, okay? So I called them because my property value, when he was here, he said 19% basically across the board. So my property went from, it doubled, more than doubled, that's not 19%. So I called them and they said to me, it's not the buildings on your property at all this year. It is the sales cost of the land that your house sits on that drove the value up. So I was like, okay then. So like everybody else who has a proper problem with their property value, I have to go through the same procedure that everyone else will. When I get my tax bill in December or November, I'm gonna pay it, but now I have to do some research and find out how much something comparable in the area. So I don't live on the waterfront, but I have to go through the same procedure that all of you do. I have to file an abatement and go through all that stuff. So, I mean, as far as hiring the company, I might look at hiring another company, but I'm new at this, so.
Sounds like, as an individual with KRT, that you get told one story, the next person gets told another story, the next person has another excuse, and the next person, oh, we don't handle that, we can't touch your land.
Well, unfortunately with that, I'll comment on that because, you know, we can sit here and say, make a statement, all right? and 5 different people, it'll leave here 5 different ways. You know, it's, a lot of times it's how we ask the question. You know, you could ask the same question that I wanna ask, but kind of, you know, it's the same question, but we do it in our own way, and you might get 2 different answers, not the answers we wanna hear, obviously. But it is, I understand, I mean, and I'm not making excuses for KRT, but they're probably no different than anybody else in this world right now. Huh?
Instead of the whole other 2.
The whole other 2, you're exactly right. I mean, they probably are trying to do the same job that they were trying to do 5 years ago or whatever with half the people and trying to do whatever. That's when the abatements come in. Put your abatements in, do it as a whole group. Put them all in the same time, put them in, and KRT will overdo their part, and then you go to the state and let the state step in. And again, if there's enough of that, which maybe there will be, because we can't be the only town dealing with this. If there's enough of that, then maybe the state will come forward and make some changes. I don't know. You know, it just, I mean, almost.
You know, another thought was, they say that they base the sales on the selling price of the house.
Yeah.
How often is that selling price inaccurate because not all the money exchanges?
Well, that's, I don't know.
It's only on base what they recorded at the
At the
county,
registry of
at
deeds.
the registry of deeds.
Yeah.
And there's a questionnaire that goes
Actually
out.
mention the selling price. It's
Whatever they.
But,
I verify the sales, and we verify the
So-
tax stamp price, and there's a questionnaire that goes out to all of the new property owners requesting additional information that the state requires, and then I have to take all of that data and that information, and I have to send it all to the state, and the state reviews every single sale that happens in the town of Belmont, and what the sales values are, and if they think there's something that's questionable, then they will follow up on it additionally.
So we're actually, in a roundabout way, doing a follow-up of, after the sale of the sales, so.
Question for Colleen on that. So in other words, if somebody tries to subvert the system with cash, they're gonna get caught, correct?
I mean, I can't say for 100%, but.
Yeah.
Ruth, I have.
Fine, yes.
I guess the criteria I'd like to see is that, as a group, we'd like to meet with KRT, okay? And we'd like to ask them the questions we've been asking, what their baseline is. We understand market value, but there's more to it than just market value. There's building, there's land, whether it's worthless piece of land or good piece of land, worthless building or good building. These are the criteria. I don't see a consistency with the way they assess these houses. So I think as a group, we'd like to talk to them and say, and give them a couple of examples and say, how did you figure this out?
Yeah, their next answer is gonna be, and I can tell you right now, the excuse they're gonna give you.
Yeah.
Well, in a year and a half, you're gonna get a complete house-to-house appraisal, not an appraisal based on sales.
That
Yeah,
happens.
and I'd like to know how they even figure that out. I look at some of the
The
houses.
last time we had one, I was home, because I was ill. They gave me the date they did it. Ain't nobody ever come to my house.
Yeah.
Well, and the last time they did it, they came to mine, and I had them come right in the house, and there were 2-3 things that they had me down for that I didn't have. So actually, mine went down, so I was
Well, yeah.
psyched.
There's
But
some-
there are a lot of
That's
people.
gonna be, because my other comment, I applaud
Right.
you all for coming here today. And we're not trying to give you excuses, but we sit here and get the mud thrown at us, which, that's our job. But between the state and KRT, because we short-sheeted ourselves for the last 5 years. That's why you sit here today and unfortunately listen to a police chief that's been in this department 45 years. He knows this town inside and out, and we're losing people because of money, because we try to keep it down. We had an agreement with the union. That agreement isn't worth the money it's written on, because every town around us is throwing more money at them. So they agreed that for 3 years, this is agreement, they'd stay working for us, the union people. That's right out the window. I mean, the agreement's still there, but it's right out the window. Same with the fire department.
Well, we're like the town too. There's a limited amount of money the town has, limited amount of
That's
money
right.
residents have.
And you can't
So
get
there has
this
to
many
be-
people at a school meeting when they want 60 cents on a dollar, 68 cents last year on a dollar goes from your check to the school. 26
And we went to a school board meeting
Yeah.
the other night.
I asked them
Travis,
about the budget.
Travis, Sharon, and I went to the school board meeting the other night. We were invited. We went, and we had some pretty direct questions. And
Yeah, they didn't like that.
they didn't
They did
like
not
that.
like
No,
my
they didn't like
question
that.
at all.
They didn't like that. The superintendent was concerned because of all the sales in town, how many more children were going to be in the school system. That is decreasing in numbers. The school population is decreasing, okay? And they explained to us that, they have 5 positions that they are not, they couldn't fill, okay? So they've eliminated them, but they're not teaching positions, they're support staff positions, okay? And so they were concerned about how many children, because of all the home sales. We don't find a lot of children. They're open nesters, what we call open nesters. They're people that their children have grown up, they might still be in college, but they're not. They're 2 and 3 bedroom homes, all right? Then the superintendent says, well, those numbers aren't gonna decrease to the point that we would be decreasing our staff, okay? 80% of the school budget is salaries. 80%.
And that's every 68 cents per dollar that you guys pay in taxes.
Right. Here we are, we nickel and dime ourselves to death. We have for the last few years, and I think all the department heads can concur to that. We've nickeled and dimed ourselves, all right? Now we're at a point where if we don't change our way a little bit in the pay department, we're gonna be sitting here doing this because we're behind the times. But again, we were at that school meeting, there was there anybody from the public?
No,
Maybe
'cause
one?
no, that parent that's sitting on the end is on the withdrawal committee.
Oh, okay.
So
There
no.
was nobody, absolutely nobody at this meeting from the town of Belmont. And go to the school board meeting, nobody goes. Everybody wants to complain, but no one really, I don't mean this rudely, but I wouldn't know all this stuff unless I went to the meetings, right?
Yeah, and to echo that, I would say I was probably one of the biggest critics of the town for the taxes. I complained
Yeah.
to many people about it, and I got on the select board and found out a lot of it is the school, truly the school. I thought it was an excuse coming from the select board.
People come up to us time and again, what are you gonna do about the tax rate? And I said, well, the town portion of the tax rate has been pretty stable. Well, what are you gonna do about the school? I look at them and say, I'm no different than you. I don't have a say in the school. We as the board have not a say in the school. And that's your budget, that's 60, what is it? 68% of the tax rate is the school. Now
can you
everybody.
Can you change that through a town vote where they would come through the selectmen? And, I think I read somewhere.
You got that one?
So I am talking with some other school committee members about getting enough people to sign on to a warrant article to put a school budget committee in rather than the school board setting their own budget. So therefore, townspeople can be on the school budget committee setting the school budget rather than just the school board setting the budget for themselves.
Right, because they don't have a budget committee, they have
an advisory
they have an advisory committee. They were very devious. They do not have a budget committee, they have an advisory. But then we found out the other night, they can advise all they want, they don't have a vote.
But we as a town with Canterbury can force them to have a school budget committee that sets the budget, but has to pass through a warrant article and both towns have to pass it.
Okay.
Which is what we do,
I will.
which is what we have to do on the town
No,
side.
it shows accountability to
Right.
them. And I think there's no accountability if you can say, I'll raise it whatever I feel like. You need accountability, and it sounds like there is no accountability.
I mean, we sit here and do our budget with our department heads, and we go through that whole process, okay? Then it moves to the budget committee, which is a whole new group of people, I happen to sit on the budget committee as a selectman's rep, okay? But it's a whole group of people, and then it goes forward to the voters. You'll see when you're voting, you'll see that the selectman supports this. Either the budget committee does or doesn't. It doesn't always, we don't always agree, although we've been pretty conservative and hope to stay that way to a point. But again, there's two different groups of people that are looking and doing that. Yes, Ted?
Well, I was on the school board for 12 years.
You were.
Yeah, and,
Through fun times.
I don't think you should blame the school board for what, all the schools have the same situation.
They're all the same way.
So,
Where's the state money?
I don't think I want to sit there and blame the school for all the action. Every school has the same.
They do.
So whether it's Belmont, Guilford,
It does.
Laconia, it's the same. So,
Yep. But when we're sitting here as your select board,
yeah, but don't complain about the school board as much as you are.
no, well, I'm not, no, I'm not.
Last winter we had an ice storm, right?
Huh?
Last winter we had a pretty good ice storm. We have 2 EOCs, Emergency Operations Centers. High school, middle school. High school, open the doors up 11 o'clock at night. It's 38 degrees in the building. The generator hasn't run in 2 years. They tell us afterwards. The electricity went out, the building damn near froze. We got firemen up there trying to thaw out the generator. The fuel had been stagnant. It's not a propane generator as it should be. It's diesel fuel. So
Well,
that's
I
junk.
can tell you, the 12 years I was on the board,
No.
we had a good relationship with the town, so I didn't have that.
Yeah, it's fun. I gotta tell you right now.
It's
it ain't
changed.
so good.
But I'd like to find one thing out, though, it amazes me. I know you guys don't have this, you don't have anything to do with this, but how do we get permits to build homes on Lake Winnisquam the way they're doing it? I mean, just to give you an idea, when Sunset Drive comes up this spring, that whole end of Sunset Drive from the beach all the way out to Winnisquam Marina is gonna be underwater. You know why? Because those summer homes, they have a front porch, they have some of them have garages. They're gonna be underwater because that water's gotta go someplace. And all these big monster homes, the water's gonna, first of all, right across from Sunset is the swamp.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all, I mean, I jog through those. I don't even dare go around there because I'm wearing my new shoes. Like, I have to go there back and Route 3 because I don't wanna run down Sunset in a foot of water. Yeah, you know, so that's gonna happen, you know?
You know, the whole thing with that is, back in the day, right?
Department of Environmental Services.
They were camps, right? They were mud paths, there weren't roads, they were mud paths, you know, it's just changed, it's changed so much, it
Who
really
makes
is.
the decision to let, I mean, these homes, that big house is from here to John. There's not so much room, there's not even that much room between the homes. Who decides how much property can be built on the lake?
Not me.
Who does, on the town?
Part of that is through the New Hampshire Department of Environmental
guys
Services,
have no
and then
say
the
on it?
rest is based on our zoning regulations.
How about people that build on wetlands? You have any say on that?
Well, that's already illegal, isn't it?
No, it was well, a lot of those little camps along there were built before we had any planning or zoning, so they're pre-existing non-conforming.
Right, their grandfather, you're
Sunset
right.
Drive, they weren't grandfathered, that's all wetlands in there.
You haven't had zoning for less than 20 years. We're entering our 20th year. A lot of those are there. Long,
But these are new ones, that $3.5 million one.
we bought 2 lots, right?
They're
You know
nerdy.
what they're doing now? They're going, I know, because friend of mine live on that show.
We got a good planning.
These developers are going along the shoreline, trying to buy all that property out.
Of course, for big money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here I am, trying to save my own house.
Okay, I think we beat it to death. We beat it to death.
No, we haven't
All right.
don't worry.
If anybody is interested, our next meeting is Wednesday, October 18th at 10
Oh, it's
o'clock.
not. Oh, yeah, that's a regular meeting. Next regular meeting, yeah. Next
Regular meeting.
Yeah, I
We
know
have
that.
non-public. That's all right. You can. Please. Please. Thank you.
If you want.
Can I take a bathroom break?
Yep.
Travis left the room.
It's okay. Travis, that's all right, so that we get a majority.
Okay, well, hurry, because I need to leave the
I'll
room
make a
too.
motion that we go into non-public.
I will second.
Aye.
Travis says aye.
Yes.
Sharon Champion.
Yes.
John Pike. Sonny Patton.
Yeah.
Ruth Mooney.
Aye. I was gonna say no, just to be a threat.
$3.2 million sale, because that's the only problem.
They have to, you'd have to have something on the ballot.
$3.2 million sale.
And it would have to be on the school ballot. And then you're apt to get Canterbury to vote against it. Yeah?
Well, aren't they voting on it anyway?
They're taxpayers. They're taxpayers. No different. I get to go vote, and I'm a selectman. Fine. No. Of course. It is. It is. It's a bitch.
I'm one of those guilty, I am one of those people. Because my kids live here, we moved here. But I was in a prior state
Yeah. They're always very professional if they're telling you what you want to hear. If they're telling you what you don't want to hear, then you consider them non-professional. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, they will next year.
They will next year anyways, because it's a full appraisal.